So Stipe is very upset about the situation around the championship. He feels like the organization is yet again going against him and putting him on the back burner as they're having other fighters go ahead of him to get that title shot that he believes he deserves. You have Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis for the interim belt, and the winner is going to get a shot against Ngannou for the undisputed. And there is a possibility for Jon Jones to come in after that fight and negotiate his way into a title fight with whoever is the heavyweight champion. So it's highly probable that Stipe is not going to get a title shot for a long time. Even if Jones doesn't get what he wants to get that title fight at heavyweight, he's still going to have to wait for the winner of Lewis versus Gane and then wait for them to fight Ngannou. Then he'll get his next title fight, and that could be by the end of next year, knowing how usually heavyweight champions operate. Heavyweight champions do not fight that often. Champions in general don't fight often, but especially heavyweight champions. Most of it is around the negotiations, around the pay, because usually the heavyweights get paid more on average than other fighters in the organization. Therefore, there's more of a battle for the money. So we can all understand why Stipe is upset. He's the most accomplished heavyweight of all time. He's also 1-1 with Ngannou, and his accomplishments did not come that long ago. He was recently a dominant champion. He had the trilogy against Daniel Cormier, and that's another thing that he's a little bit upset about, that DC got instant rematches and trilogies against him. That point kind of backfires on Stipe because he lost to DC first. They gave him the instant rematch, and then DC got the trilogy afterward. So they gave him what he wanted, but if you do remember, after DC knocked out Stipe, they wanted to do the whole Brock Lesnar route and completely exclude Stipe. They had all planned out. They had Brock Lesnar come into the cage. It was like they planned for Stipe to lose, or at least hoping for Stipe to lose, so they could set up this big fight. Ultimately, that didn't come in fruition. Brock Lesnar could not make the fight, so they went to Stipe instead, as he was the rightful next contender, or at least the next guy who deserved a title shot. And Stipe has gone as far as to even make some hints that he would like to go to one championship or another organization. For a long time, Stipe has never really gotten along with the organization, even though he is their greatest champion. He is the guy that delivered the most for the heavyweight division. And when you look at it that way, it's hard not to side with Stipe Miocic. I also do understand the other side of this, that we want the division to move forward. We want it to keep moving with the contenders and not just giving former champions title shots. There are times where a champion who has just lost deserves that instant rematch. But I do agree, when you got guys like Ciryl Gane and Derrick Lewis doing great things in the division, I like to see the contenders also get that title shot before a champion who has just lost, who's been in the organization for such a long time. But here's the thing, Gane is already fighting Derrick Lewis. That is set in stone. They have a date for that. That is the next pay-per-view card. In the meantime, Francis Ngannou said that he would like to fight in September, or they could even move it on into November, which right now only has one title fight. Have him fight Stipe in the meantime. Finish this whole rivalry thing. Just finish off this whole trilogy and then get the division moving. Because by the looks of it, Stipe wants to fight. Derrick Lewis doesn't care who he fights. They've asked him plenty of times. He says he prefers to fight for the belt because it gives him the most money, but he doesn't really care who they put in front of him. He'll take any fight. So he's not really making a case for a specific fighter. And then Ciryl Gane says that he does want a title fight, but he will fight whoever the UFC will give him as well. So when Gane and Lewis don't really care as much as to who they are going to fight next, the best thing to probably do is just to give Stipe the next shot. Have the winners of the two title fights fight each other probably in the spring of next year. Everything still kind of goes down the same timeline. They could do whatever they want with the interim belt. We all like to see that championship actually matter for something, right? When Nick Diaz fought Carlos Condit and other fighters in the past fought for interim belts, it made much more sense. It held a bit of weight. But because they threw around interim belts in like 2019, I think it was, 2018, all around the place, the belt has been watered down. But what is good about the interim belt, and why I don't really care if they put it on the line for Gane versus Lewis, is that the two fighters are going to get more money because it is considered a championship fight. The winner is also going to get championship pay. That is why I do like the interim belt. And we all know why Jones is not in the equation right now. At least we know why he's not going to be fighting Ngannou, the whole negotiations, right? But the reason why Jones is not going to fight Stipe, which is a fight I would have loved to see, and it made perfect sense, I know Stipe would be all up for that fight, was because Jones himself was not interested in fighting Stipe. Stipe didn't hold the belt. He didn't believe that Stipe had any drawing power to bring money into their fight. So he wants to fight whoever is the champion. So that's off the table, even though we all would have loved to see Stipe versus Jones. But at the end of the day, it would be great to see Stipe versus Ngannou in November or December, have the winners fight in spring. Who do I have winning that fight? I think Francis would beat Stipe yet again. The damage that Stipe has taken in his last, 4 to 5 fights have been horrendous. While Ngannou is younger, he's fresher, He has a better chin. He's learning at a rapid pace. And Stipe getting bigger for the fight can help him with the takedowns. But I think because Ngannou's wrestling has gotten so much better, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference if Ngannou is going to be dictating the pace of the fight like he did in the second, right? Stipe didn't want to engage as much because if he does, he runs the risk of getting countered and knocked out. So when Ngannou is pacing himself in the fight, he's going to be ready for like 2 to 3 rounds. He can go at that slower pace with momentary power shots for like 2 rounds for sure. He's done that before and possibly even for 3 rounds. And that spells a lot of trouble for Stipe Miocic.